Nova Scotia's RCMP has scaled back its week-long investigation for 2 missing children.
We're transitioning from a full-scale search to searches of more specific spaces that have already been searched by our teams. We're not packing up, and we're not giving up. Our investigation is broad, and it won't end until we know where Lily and Jack are and can bring them home.
6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing on Friday, May 2nd. The children's mother and stepfather believe the two either wandered from their home in Lansdowne Station in Nova Scotia. Helicopters, drones, and tracking dogs have been used in the search, but no signs of the children have been found. So to explain more about this ongoing investigation, I'm joined this morning by Chris Lewis. He's CTV's public safety analyst and former OPP commissioner. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
There's so many questions still around both this investigation and this mystery around what happened to these 2 young children. Yesterday, the RCMP announcing they've scaled back their search. They said they're going to be circling back on areas that have been looked at before. So what does that tell you, this move signal, at this stage of the investigation?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Anne-Marie. There's a couple of things at play here. Either the police know more than we do, which is quite likely, particularly from an investigative perspective, things they're not saying. It was very clear yesterday in the press conference that the staff sergeant in charge of the investigative side of this said there's things he couldn't say. At the same time, it's very intense and very thick area that they're searching, very difficult to traverse, even for trained adults, let alone children. So they've obviously made the decision that they don't believe the kids have got further than their perimeter, the area they've already searched. So they want to go back and research it. And he also specifically said there's areas that they want to revisit. So why is that? It's disturbing to me that they think the children may not be alive, but the RCMP are really good at this, big searches and investigations, and so they know something we don't, and we have to trust them that hopefully these kids will be found alive, and they'll, if possible, they will do so.
Is it possible one of the areas they're going to go back and research is the children's home and the property surrounding?
It could well be. It could be specific areas in that turf that maybe there's water, culverts and things like that. I don't know. I'm only guessing here. But they're pretty careful to how they worded it all, and which makes me think, once again, from an investigative perspective, they know something we don't, which is almost always the case. But the investigation, the search, always happen in parallel. But in this case, it appears that it seems to be narrowing down to a point that we're going to know something soon, and fingers crossed it's good news, but they're not holding out a whole pile of hope at this point, unfortunately.
It's interesting that your experience and instinct tell you that they're narrowing in on something soon. One thing else that stood out was that major crimes is still part of this investigation. They were at that press conference on Wednesday. What does that say, that this is a search and rescue / search recovery, but also that major crimes is involved?
Well, major crimes would always be involved with missing children, because either they're lost, which is certainly what they've been hoping to be the case, and then find them alive, or they've met with foul play in some way. And there's a couple of different avenues that could go, either a stranger abduction or someone that is known to them. And so major crime would always be following that up until they really have proof one way or another as to what's happened to these kids. So that's not uncommon at all.
During that press conference yesterday, police said that the likelihood of the children being alive was very low. That stood out to me, and you mentioned it as well. When one officer was asked at how they arrived at that conclusion, he only offered scientific methods. What does that mean?
Well, based on probabilities, previous searches, a lot of data that's been gathered over the years, and just experience of these searchers and the search masters, they made a determination that they don't think these kids could have got out of where they are. So that being the case, and have the fact they've been all through there, and some weather issues, although the weather's not all that bad, they've determined there's no way that they could be alive in their view, which is very sad. But at the same time, I've seen searchers where adults have been missing for weeks in similar weather and found alive. So you can never say never, and the fact that they're leaning that way causes me even more concern.
One last question for you. The parents say they believe the children were abducted. Police say they don't have any evidence to suggest that. So then what options are left?
Well, why are the parents saying that? It would be the first question from the investigators. What makes you believe that? Because if they are, then the police want to know that. The stepfather said very clearly he's been offered he offered to have polygraphs, and he's given them everything. So there's quite an investigation going on around the family. I'm not suggesting there's anything untoward there, but police are obviously following that part of it very closely, and hopefully they'll come up with something soon. This is just a tragedy extraordinaire.
Heartbreak for the family and the community and everyone involved. Chris Lewis, CTV's public safety analyst and former OPP commissioner. Thank you for your time and your expertise this morning.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.